little bit earlier than we planned. In reality, a bit late, because of the fact that we needed to have leadership meeting to appraise some of the concerns in respect of the ministerial nominees that will appear before us today. And I did say in advance that it is the view of leadership that some of the so-called petitions have no merit. But we'll be very glad to hear from them when they appear before us. And we'll do justice to all. So let us examine the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 29th day of October 2024. Page 445. Page 446. Page 447. Page 448. Page 449. Page 430. Rather, page 450. Page 451. Page 452. Page 453. Page 454. Page 455. Page 456. Kaka Shehu Lawan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. President, my respected colleagues. My name is Kaka Shehu Lawan. I represent the good people of Borno Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I stand to move that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 29th day of October 2024 be approved. I so move, sir.
Distinguished Senator Agadaga.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Chief Benson Sunday Agadaga is my name. I represent all the characters of Bayelsa East Senatorial District in Bayelsa State. Member of the Order of Naira. The motion ably moved by distinguished for the adoption of the votes and proceedings of yesterday. I so second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support of the approval of the votes and proceedings of the 29th day of October 2024 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the following distinguished senators are celebrating their birthdays today, 30th day of October 2024. Senator Udende Memga Emmanuel, Senator Izunaso Osita Bonaventure. On behalf of the Senate, I wish the distinguished senators happy birthday, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. Congratulations. Distinguished colleagues, I wish to acknowledge the presence of honorable members of Ogo Olua Local Government Council in Oyo State. Huh? Listen, my wife is from the southeast, and that spelling is Ogo. It means in-law. But if your own is Ogo, huh? Ogo Oluwa. We are pleased to have you in the gallery, and we wish you fruitful observations of the Senate proceedings. And may God take you back safely to your destination thereafter. You're welcome. You may be seated. We also want to acknowledge the presence of the students of Department of History and International Studies, Plateau State University, Bokos. Senator Lalong, pronounce it for us. Huh?
It's Bokos, not Bokos.
Bokos, not Bokos.
Yes. It's Bokos.
So we acknowledge the presence of the students of Department of History and International Studies, Plateau State University, Bokos, in Jos, who are here in the gallery to observe proceedings. I wish you fruitful observations and God's mercies on your return journey. You may be seated. Very distinguished colleagues, a delegation from the Parliament of Ghana in the gallery to observe Senate proceedings. Honorable Thomas Adadalu, Member of Parliament, Shana Paga in Ghana, is here with us. Honorable Emmanuel Koranteng, Senior Assistant Clerk and Deputy Director, Governance Cluster of Committees of the Ghanaian Parliament, is also here with us. They are in Nigeria and in the Senate chambers to observe Senate proceedings. I want to wish them fruitful observations, and I welcome you on behalf of your colleagues in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and journey mercies on your return journey. distinguished colleagues, with sadness in my heart, I invite all of us to the night of tributes for our late brother, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Ubah, CON. The letter is from Dr. Ijoma, APC National Vice Chairman, Southeast, and Secretary of the National Burial Committee, inviting distinguished senators to the night of tributes in honor of late Dr. Ifeanyi Ubah. The event will take place as follows. 18th day of November, 2024, 5 p.m. at NAV Conference Center and Suites, Plot 496, Amadu Bello Way, Abuja. Then, of course, the schedule of burial and funeral arrangements will be forwarded to all distinguished senators. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Any petitions? Any petitions? Yes. Distinguished Senator Cyril Fasiji.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I have with me two petitions sent to my office as the Chairman, Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service. I have with me two petitions sent to me as the Chairman, Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service. Will it please you, sir, for me to go ahead with the petition? Okay. The first one is from Hussaini Adamu, who has petitioned the office of the head of service for delay in payment of late Abilu Adamu's group life insurance benefit since 2016. The second one is also from one Adeola, who has not Olamilekan, who has written a petition for passionate appeal for proper placement because she claimed in the last 20 years she has not been promoted and she has been on grade level 08. Yes, for 20 years. The two petitions are clear of any litigation, and may it please the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, for me to lay the two petitions before you, sir.
Please proceed to lay the petitions.
Thank you, sir.
The two petitions are hereby referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions to report back to the Senate in 2 weeks. Yes, point of order, Senator Goje.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm coming on from order 42. Do I read? 42.
You may read.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate. But no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed settlement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, I want to come and take advantage of this order to do special appreciation following the wedding fatia of my daughter, Fozia.
It's okay. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Danjuma Goje had actually approached me and mentioned that he needed to appreciate his colleagues in a special way during this session. And of course, in line with Order 42, if it's the view of the Senate that he be allowed to continue, those in support say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Mohammed Njumo Goje, President of Gombe Central Gombe State. Mr. President, I stand to make a special appreciation on behalf of myself, members of my family, following the successful wedding fatia of my daughter, Fozia Danjuma Goje, which took place last week, Friday, at the National Mosque. During the ceremony, Mr. President, we are honored with the presence of very, very, very important personalities across the country. I will start, obviously, by acknowledging and appreciating the physical presence of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was there personally and also agreed to really be the wali of the daughter, of my daughter. He delegated the Speaker of the House of Reps, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, to do the traditional normal siga. Mr. President, it's an honor done to me, done to my family, and I think done to this Senate for His Excellency to take time off in spite of the very tight schedule being the president of this country and to personally participate in this marriage. And I felt that he needs special commendation and appreciation. And we pray to Almighty Allah to continue to give him long life, good health, and wisdom and guidance to continue to provide good leadership to this country. We thank him very much, and may God bless him and reward him abundantly. But I think that marriage was also blessed with very other important personalities, like the former Vice President, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar was there, Wazir Adamawa, and of course, you are good self, Mr. President. You are physically there. In fact, I was told you postponed your journey to a neighboring country, Ghana, for this marriage. And you were there. You were supported by His Excellency, your Deputy Senator Balo Jibril. And I felt it's an honor that we'll never forget. For you to be there, the deputy to be there, and of course, the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Reps, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas was also physically there. And of course, the large turnout from a primary constituency, the Senate and House of Reps. It was overwhelming, and I have no words to express my appreciation except to say, may God reward all of you abundantly. Mr. President, that marriage attracted other important personalities that I need to mention briefly, like His Excellency, the chairman of our great party, the APC, was there physically. His Excellency Alhaji Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, and his predecessor, Senator Abdullahi Adam, was also physically there. A lot of governors across the country were there, in particular my governor, the governor of Gombe State, the governor of Bauchi State, the governor of Yobe State, the governor of Kaduna State, and the governor of Katsina State, as well as the deputy governors of Borno and Sokoto were there. And my former colleagues, former governors, so many of them that cannot be mentioned individually, and former members of the National Assembly, both senators and reps, were there in large number, Mr. President. Of course, the immediate close aides of the President, the Chief of Staff, Femi Bajabi Amina, as well as the National Security Advisor, Malenu Ribadu, were also there. And we have also very important people like the former Secretary to the Government, Ambassador Babagana Kingibe, and of course, Alhaji Mahmoud Yaele Ahmed was there. So many serving and former ministers were there, and so many members of the state, former members of the State Assembly and serving were there, members of the military corps, traditional rulers, the chief imam, of course, the chief imams of the National Mosque, and other religious leaders, heads of agencies and departments, of course, captains of industry, security agencies, and members of the press, in fact. And so many people that are impossible to mention individually. Mr. President, all these people, and of course, general public, on behalf of myself, once more, members of my family, I wish to say a very, very big thank you to all of you, and may God bless us all. I thank you. It is an honor, Mr. President, to be given this kind of wonderful attendance at the marriage ceremony of my daughter. I thank you very much, and I want to thank you, my colleagues in particular. A lot of you, almost, I don't want to give a number, but a lot were physically there. And those who are not even there sending prayers and messages of goodwill to me. I thank all of you, and may God bless all of us. Mr. President, why I thank you, all of you, I want this opportunity to talk on one issue, Mr. President. The issue of the continued blackout.
Let me respond to you.
Let me
your
finish.
Message of appreciation. Distinguished Senator Goje, you may sit down. Such a wonderful oration, such a wonderful appreciation from a very wonderful heart. I personally witnessed it, and my colleagues here, more than 70% of them were also there to witness the occasion. And the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, also attended the occasion. And he did not only attend the occasion just to honor you, by implication, he honored the Senate. So we also share in your prayers that God will continue to grant him wisdom and good health and the heart of compassion to continue to run the affairs of the nation. Let me join you to also thank my colleagues who were there, and also thank those who were able to make it to distinguished Senator Tony Woyer's father's burial in their numbers, all the way in Sube in Anambra State. May the soul of your late father rest in perfect peace. But it is what it should be. We are a family. And I had to delay seriously my flight time to be able to attend the occasion personally. I was in the mosque also, and I prayed in the mosque, and the social media went agog. So, and then, of course, I like it because both the Christians and the Muslims, they worship only one God, the Almighty God, the omnipotent, and the all-knowing God. So congratulations once again, and note that the entire country honored your family, and our prayer is that that marriage should remain fruitful, and that marriage should produce children that will come to take over leadership from us when we are no more. Congratulations, and thank you for thanking all of us. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2024, SB 583. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2024, SB 583, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2024, SB 583, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill also standing in my name on the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2024, SB 584. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2024, SB 584, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2024, SB 584, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill 2024, SB 585. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigeria Tax Administration Bill 2024, SB 585, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Nigeria Tax Administration Bill 2024, SB 585, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of an executive bill standing in my name on the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, SB 586. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, SB 586, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Nigeria Tax Bill 2024 SB 586, first reading taken. Clerk of the Senate. Yes. Leader. Leader of the Senate, yes, proceed. Clerk, please approach.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Yao Sahabi Al-Haji on the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards, etc. Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 634. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards etc. Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 634, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Boards Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 634, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Hussaini Babangida Uba on the Federal Universities of Technology Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 635. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Universities of Technology Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 635, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Universities of Technology Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 635, first reading taken. The distinguished Senator Goje, distinguished Senator Buhari, I know you are doing consultations. But let me say I noted that you had not finished when I jumped in. So you may wish to complete.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this special opportunity to express my concern and the concern of millions of Northerners who have been suffering for the last 9 or 10 days without electricity.
Okay. Don't worry. Now I know where you are going.
Yeah, I'm
now,
going.
But you see, that is another point of order. Because if you look at where you came from,
I'm not asking for debate.
No.
I'm just trying to make personal
No,
explanation.
you know, you are one of the ancestors here.
Yes.
so I would say, landlord, you came under Order 42. And Order 42 says, if I may remind you, it says that no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may any debate arise upon the explanation. And the explanation was on the beautiful wedding of your daughter. And we had taken it, you thanked us. But this one you are mentioning, I need to let you know.
It's not controversial.
I know.
It's not for debate.
No. It means that you had not finished the other one when you jumped into this one.
I'm continuing with my explanation based on Order 42.
Okay. Since there is no need for debate, let me mention that I took this issue up yesterday with the president and with the deputy Senate president and I assure you that we were assured that within 3 days, starting from yesterday, that light will be restored, that the collapsed grid will be, the light will be restored to the whole of northern Nigeria. So
Mr. President,
it's something that we were very concerned. And the Deputy Senate President spoke about it yesterday.
It's not too much to talk on this issue because it is unprecedented, and we pray to God that it will never happen again.
Yes, not even that.
For about 17 states stay without light. It has never happened in Nigeria for about 10 days.
Let me mention that sometimes there was please sit down. There was a time that we had this kind of issue in Borno State, when vandals and militants were cutting our pipe, our transmission lines, and all that. So for me, I believe strongly that since repair work is ongoing, very soon, the light will be, it's not even very soon. We are sure that in 2-3 days that the light will be restored. The Deputy Senate President, you spoke about it yesterday. Please, can you?
Yes. Yesterday, when you were at the villa for an event,
we went for the emblem launch.
Exactly. So I took time to explain. 2025. Yes. I took time to explain that since the beginning of the stoppage of the supply of electricity to the northern part of the country, that the leadership has been talking to the stakeholders involved. We have spoken to the TCN managing director, who told us about the situation that Islamic State or some terrorists, vandalized the grid. And the fact that they've occupied that area, there was the need for the security agents to get prepared to go there. And they were preparing. It was a security issue. Otherwise, they would have even gone there the same day and get it repaired. But they had to get the security involved, and they are heavily armed to the teeth. So, and that's why it has taken time to get something, kind of repaired. And the president, I said it here, that the president is on top of the situation. He has given directive to the TCN and the military, and the army, the Air Force, to get involved and flush out those bandits there. So it was something that the leadership was involved. And thank God, they'll be able to have access to the area, and they are now doing the repairs. So I explained that on the floor yesterday.
I am aware that there were a lot of security concerns, and the chairman of Power, together with the Minister of Power, and all the MDs of power-related agencies in the country, addressed the issue. The Civil Senator Abaribe, yes, you may wish to put a little bit of light on it.
Information, Mr. President. My name is Nnamdikanu Abaribe. Yesterday, the Senate engaged with the Minister of Power and all associated agencies on this matter. And we came to some very fruitful conclusions, and the report will be laid on this floor on Tuesday next week.
Leader of the Senate, you are satisfied now? Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, very distinguished senators. Mr. President, I rise first to move a motion on the need for us to step down the other items that we have on the order paper for today, and specifically, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day as well as the second order of the day, so that we can go straight to what would have been the third order of the day, which is the confirmation of nominations of ministerial nominees sent to this hallowed chamber by Mr. President. So, Mr. President, in order for us to have enough time to be able to take this item, I move that we step down the other items on the other paper for today. I so move, Mr. President.
Really, there are not many. We are just looking at the consideration of bills, 1, 2, and then the third one is just the concurrence. So those three are to be stepped down to enable us to concentrate on the ministerial nominees.
Very well.
Minority Leader, do you even know what we are stepping down as you're about the second?
The story is too many.
Yeah?
The story is too many.
They are not many. Listen to this.
What I can do
he's moving a motion to step down the orders of the day, 1 and 2, and then the last bill for concurrence. Just 3 items, so that we can concentrate now on the confirmation of nominations of the would-be ministers for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he's asking that you second that motion.
All right, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to support the motion that the Senate suspends all other items on the order paper to enable the Senate to concentrate on the screening and possible confirmation of our ministerial nominees. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that all the other 3 items be stepped down to enable us to concentrate on the screening and possible confirmation of the ministerial nominees of Mr. President. Those in support of the motion as moved and seconded, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Sergeant at Arms. Be on standby. Leader of the Senate, move the normal motion.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, may I now move a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nominations of the following persons as listed on the order paper. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Dr. Nentawe Yiwada, Muhammadu Megari Dingyadi, Bianca Odinaka Odumegu Ojoku, Right Honorable Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, Idi Mukhtar Maiha, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, Suwaiba Said Ahmad, PhD, for appointment as ministers of the government of the Federation in accordance with Section 147 sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution as altered. Mr. President, distinguished senators, in order to carry out this exercise in conformity with our Standing Order 12 on floor privileges, I will move a motion that the Senate do admit the Special Advisor to the President on National Assembly Matters, the nominees, and their family members has been for the masses. In fact, in his work, we lean on him to get to the grassroots. And if today the president decides that he is sending to the Minister of Humanitarian Service, I feel it's a round peg in a round hole, because that is a ministry that needs someone who is compassionate. Nentawe is compassionate. It's a ministry, too, that engulfs the entire country, and it needs a man with vision. Nentawe is visionary. It is a ministry that needs data analysis. Nentawe is data, and data is Nentawe. It's a ministry that needs someone who is healthy and strong. This man is healthy and strong. I thank Mr. President, and I thank my colleagues, because I know that by the time he is confirmed, I am sure that as senators representing Nigeria, the 109 constituency, will be pleased with this appointment. I thank you all, and I know that after this, we will give him an accelerated confirmation, and I'm sure we will see results. Thank you, Mr. President, and my colleagues.
Distinguished Senator Pam.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity to speak on a very sensitive issue, particularly on a nominee that comes from my state. I am Senator Pam Konda, representing the glorious people of Plateau North. Though the nominee mistakenly make a wrong pronunciation of my name, I will forgive him because he has come here with a very good anxiety. My name is not Simon Watkon, but my name is Pam Konda. Sir, this young man, as I know him, to possess a very rich credentials. From a younger age, as the CV portrays, he is a professor of digital systems and an engineer by excellence. If you go through deeply, sir, distinguished colleagues, and look at his CV, his personal data is rich. And in page 2, you look at his consultancy services that cuts across all sectors of life. In page 5, his working experiences showcases that he started from the university and worked as an INEC commissioner. In page 8, his educational qualifications shows that he is a trained and a membership of various disciplines. And in page 9, he has 24 publications in Kitty. In page 12, his referees shows that he's a man of the people. Mr. President, we are very grateful to the President of the Federation. You have given Plateau State somebody that will work for the nation. And I'm happy because all of us here, having he spoken, we know that somebody has said something, and the position or the portfolio that has been assigned to, it's a place that requires serious people with serious minds, and he's qualified for this. And I'm asking the colleagues, my colleagues here, to give him an accelerated confirmation so that he can keep the ball rolling while he's been formally confirmed. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we are through with the honors of the minister. We are now going to the fireworks. Is there anybody that has a question for the nominee? That's where it should be. Let's start from the majority party. Let's start from the right-hand side. Oh, sorry, let's start from let's start. I'll give an opportunity to all my bosses. Let's start from my first boss. It's Senator Sadiq.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Sitting as chair, my distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent Kwara North. Professor Natawe, well, your CV spoke clearly, and you also represent yourself. And we heard from your head boy, you've been very consistent since you are young. And luckily, I think I've met you too, and I think you are a gentleman, smart, and humble. However, you are going to the humanitarian ministry. As of today, the data is that 40% of Nigerians are living below poverty. And it's also worse than that. When you look at multidimensional poverty index, about 63% are also below that index. Thank God you are an engineer, ICT savvy, but you are aware that for years, subsequent governments have spent billions of naira to alleviate poverty. Billions and billions. The challenge has always been, how will this money get to those intended without getting it lost? Will you tell us how you are going to use your experience to make sure that federal government money that will be under your care in the ministry will get to the people that need it? Thank you.
Okay. So just write down the question. This other one is that it just asks you how the federal government money will reach the most vulnerable and the poorest of the poor in our society. Distinguished Senator Shehu Buba.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing me. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Shehu Buba Umar, representing Bauchi South. Mr. President, I rise to add my own voice on the nominee, Professor Nentawe. I congratulate you as a nominee of Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
Mine is not a question per se. I want to make my own contribution, Mr. President, because the nominee, he is coming from Plateau State, Pankshin local government, to be specific, and we are sharing borders. We are neighbors. My own constituent, Bauchi South, and we have a lot in common. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I know the nominee for over 25 years. He was born in Plateau State, but I can tell you he was brought up in Bauchi State. I know him as a detribalized Nigerian, down to earth, and a very respected personality. I believe, Mr. President, have gotten the right choice for this position. I am standing to support the confirmation of the nominee. I therefore aligned my own position with the position of the distinguished 3 senators from Plateau State, Senator Lalong, Diket Plank, and my brother, Senator Markov, for calling on my distinguished colleagues to fasten the confirmation of this gentleman. Therefore, call on my colleagues to support the nominee of Mr. Nentawe. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, the distinguished Senator Shehu Buba Omar, I actually wanted us to go into questions. So if anybody has no question, there will be no need to speak. Distinguished Senator Ndume, you may wish to ask your question.
On the microphone, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, and the nominee. I would want to start by congratulating you. You are I think, the third minister to be nominated. The first one was a lady. The second one also was a lady. And as far as it is now, your ministry is the most important because 70% or 60% of Nigerians are living below poverty level. And the federal government deliberately have been making effort allocating huge sums of money to address the humanitarian crisis. And you are also coming at a time when the whole world organizations that are in charge of humanitarian issues are concerned about the escalating humanitarian crisis in the country. And this is not because the government is not doing anything, but because it is not getting down to those that are affected. You know the circumstance that led to the relief of your predecessor. My question now is, as the first man to be appointed to that ministry, what will you do as a case of emergency to make sure that the humanitarian crisis we are seeing, we are facing, we are likely to face more, should be done? Unfortunately, you are ICT persons. Today's world, if we are serious, or let me say you are serious, we can start seeing the impact when you settle down. So how do you intend to do that? That will give us a lot of comfort if we get a good answer from you. Thank you, Mr. President.
The nominee, you may attempt to answer before we go to this side.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me start with a question from Senator Sadiq Suleiman from Kwara. He asks, how will this money being voted by the Senate, the National Assembly generally, we get to the vulnerable group across the country? Let me start this way. After my appointment, I received calls from several people, and everybody that called me keep on showing the concern that with this level of poverty, and also with a new framework in the economic policies of the country, the reforms that we're having, they keep on asking me, can you resolve the issue of poverty across the country? And I said, the issue of poverty reduction is a wholesome challenge that involves almost everybody, from National Assembly to several agencies, government, the agencies, private sector, development partners, and other people that will be involved. But this is what I will do that maybe we can add a little bit of impetus to the fight. I know that already there are steps that have been taken by government, and there are also steps that are taken by the ministry in streamlining and ensuring they have a register of poor people. That's the data. And once you want to address any issue in the 21st century, the first thing you do is you get data, because data is a king in resolving challenges in the 21st century. And this is what we may do as a country or as a ministry if given the opportunity. First is to work with agencies that we need the data from them. And the first thing we need to do is, if given the opportunity, because while in INEC, we work with the National Population Commission in getting the geospatial data of Nigeria. And If you look at the NPC delimitation, it delineates Nigeria into the six geographical zones, the 36 states plus Abuja making 37. The 774 local government, then the wards, and in the wards, it goes further and delineate the wards into what they call enumeration areas. And the enumeration areas become the smallest unit that they use in distribution, in dispersing facilities. And that was what INEC has been using in aggregating that data to form what they call polling units to ward to local government to state, and then to the country. And the same thing that we must do in poverty alleviation, because you must get the map of the country from National Population Commission, get enumeration areas across all wards, and then you get the geospatial data of poor people distributed across the country. Now, if